Test, test. Audio from Evergreen, 9 minutes till game time. Sounds like we're good to go. We'll be back with live action if you've already tuned in. Be on here in about 5 minutes with some pregame. The game will start. All right, welcome everybody to the Greenhouse in Olympia, Washington on the campus of the Evergreen State College. This is quarterfinal action, first round of the Cascade Collegiate Conference Men's Basketball Championships for the year 2010. And tonight's game will feature the Gooey Ducks of Evergreen, the fourth seed in the tournament, with an overall record of 19-9. Coming off a tough loss the other night, though, at Eastern Oregon, facing a Northwest University team, Evergreen's travel partner during the regular season, 16-13 on the year. And they come off of what was a nice win for them at the College of Idaho in their regular season finale, a win that snapped a three-game losing streak and brings them in here on a bit of a high note. However, Evergreen, a couple of good practices this week, ready to go here on a Wednesday night following the Saturday night debacle at Eastern Oregon. And they will come in here knowing that at number 25 in the nation, they are hanging by a thread for a second straight national tournament berth. Right now, if you were to go through the potential bracketing with the automatic champions and automatic berth to the host, College of the Ozarks, etc., Evergreen would be in the field. However, each time a team seated higher than them in the national rankings right now loses in its conference tournament, that would give that team a earlier chance at the at-large berth and possibly push Evergreen right out of the tournament. So at this point, Evergreen needs to hope that the chalk holds true throughout the nation and the tournament favorites emerge victorious in their tournaments. There are four of those playing tonight. Kansas Collegiate Athletic Conference champ Sterling is playing Bethel. Luckily for the Gooey Ducks, Mid-Central champion Indiana Wesleyan, the same team that knocked Evergreen out of the Sweet 16 last year in Branson, has already emerged victorious tonight, defeating Huntington. Iowa Wesleyan will go up against number one Grandview in the Mid-Central Conference, and the Wolverine Hoosier champion Cornerstone is hosting Michigan Dearborn. So those are three games that Gooey Duck fans are going to want to keep an eye on, as if the number one seeds in those tournaments continues to win and not too many conference champs are knocked out, Gooey Ducks could have a chance at an at-large berth. But Jeff Drinkline and company thinking right now that that's probably not the route. They're probably going to have to win the championship tournament of the Cascade Conference or come in second in another convoluted thing that we'll talk about later, as Jose Pineda, the public address announcer here at the Greenhouse, is about to announce the national anthem and then the starting lineups. Getting ready for the announcement of the starting lineups here in a moment from PA man Jose Pineda, as I mentioned. In the meanwhile, we'll tell you a little bit about the starting lineups. First for Northwest, as announced by head coach John Van Dyke, who has been at Northwest University just as long as I've been here at Evergreen, which is 10 years. This, by the way, for myself, athletic director Dave Weber here at the Evergreen State College, is my last sporting event. Last day of employment here at Evergreen is Friday, so looking forward, hopefully, for those of you Evergreen fans, to a Big send-off from the Gludex. Looking at the lineup for Northwest, number 3 is a 6'2 guard, junior from Big Bend Community College, Blake Sullivan. He's their leading scorer at 14.5 points per game. Number 4, Stedman Richardson, is 6'2 junior guard from Federal Way and Highline CC. He had 31 points last time against Gludex, more than twice what he scored in any other ball game this year. So we'll see if he can continue to make the greenhouse his private playground. Number 24, Tyson Christie, a 6'6 junior from Sherwood, Oregon, averages 11 points and 4 rebounds. Number 44, Greg Peters, a 6'8 junior from Belmont St. Vincent. He had a double-double last time here with an even 10 and 10. And number 55, Greg George, 6'9 junior from Seattle. He had double-doubles in both games against the Gludex. 14 points and his 7.9 rebounds are 12th in the NAIA. Looking at Evergreen, Tyrell Dixon, the point guard, a 5'10 sophomore from Mount Tahoma up in Tacoma. Nate Menifee, everyone knows Nate, the 5th leading scorer in the nation, 26.7 points per game. He's also hit 22 in both matchups with the Eagles this year. Number 21, Julio Feliciano, the point center, I like to call him anyway. He has got a lot of points, a lot of assists in that overtime game here. Last time these teams played, he went 43 minutes, had 13 rebounds, 6 assists. Josh Troyer, the 2nd leading scorer in the Gludex now. He's lofted himself into that position at 10.2 points per game. The junior from Vancouver. And number 34, Anthony Gallagher, 6'8 senior from Puyallup, who averages 9.3 points and 4.6 rebounds a game. Almost ready to tip off here in the greenhouse with both of these teams' seasons pretty much on the line. As I mentioned, Gludex have a couple of ways to get in, but the best one is to win the tournament. They have a chance at an at-large bid, are resting in an at-large bid right now, but pending the outcome of conference tournaments in NAIA Division II throughout the nation, that may not be there at the end of next week. Also, the chance is, if a very convoluted series of events happen and Evergreen played Oregon Tech for the conference championship in a week's time, that would automatically put Evergreen in as Tech as a champions. The tip was won by Northwest, taken by Evergreen, and then taken back by Northwest, and they have it now. On the drive by Tyson Christie gives a 2-zip lead to the visitors. 3 other games going on tonight. We'll talk about those in a minute and try to keep you updated as time goes on in the other games throughout the conference. As if you're an Evergreen or Northwest fan, you'll want to know what happened there. And Josh Troyer threw a less than average bounce pass to Terrell Dixon that was stolen away. And now back with the ball are the Eagles. That is Stedman Richardson, who had the 31 points last time. He has 2 tonight. He drops that one in for a 4-0 lead for Northwest University. Dixon walks it up, hits the trailer, Feliciano. Troyer in the left corner to Gallagher. 3-pointer. Count it! Anthony Gallagher cuts the margin to 1. 18:50 to play. Northwest leads it 4-3 as Richardson brings it up, guarded by Menifee. Greg George trying to post up. They'll feed him, guarded by Gallagher. He powers one way, falls back the other way. Too long. Taken down by Dixon. Tyrell into the front court all the way. Blocking foul. So Tyrell took it into his own hands there and had the opportunity to possibly get a charge, but the call goes Evergreen's way. And Tyrell will shoot 2 with a chance to give Evergreen the lead with 18:31 to play in the first half. It is 4-3 Northwest. Tyrell Dixon played very little last year and over the course of this season has worked his way into the starting point guard position here for E-State. He'll try to tie it up here with his first shot. Does not. Late arriving, or what will be a disappointing crowd here tonight. Only a couple hundred people in here right now. When it was a novelty for Evergreen to make the playoffs, this place would fill up like crazy on a playoff night, but now they're waiting for the later rounds, which unfortunately aren't going to occur here this year unless there's a significant amount of upsets. So Dixon misses both, and Northwest maintains the lead. Here's Richardson. Again, mentioned he had 31 last time he played against Evergreen. He's only had double figures once since then. That came on the following night. And there's going to be a foul against Troyer, and that will send Greg Peters to the line. Peters shooting 66% from the line this season. Misses the first, so free throws have not been a good weapon for either club so far. As Dixon missing a pair for Evergreen, and now Peters missing his first. He can give a field goals length lead here, though, with this one. And he does. 5-3 Northwest, 18-15 to play in the first half. Here comes Dixon. Three-pointer launched by Dixon, and it's no good. Peters running it down, and now Richardson takes it. Stedman Richardson, as I mentioned, only in single figures since the Portland Bible game the night after the Evergreen game. He had 15 in that one, or 14, and has not reached double figures since, but had a huge game here last time. May have some pleasant memories, and there's a three-pointer for Blake Solomon that puts Northwest up by the score of 8-3 with 17:38 to go. There's Menifee driving baseline. Comes to Gallagher. He's had a chance to make his second bucket of the night. Did not. Gets his own rebound. Misses. And it's taken down by George with the enormous tattoo on the right upper arm. He battles through the lane, and he's hammered by both Feliciano and Gallagher. His foul's going to go against Gallagher. That'll be the first against Gallagher. And the Geoducks will send Jameer Dodd into the game, replacing Jixon. And that will probably create the Nate Menifee at the point scenario. Jeff Drinkline has seen enough of what has gone on here in the first 3 minutes. He takes a timeout, 30-second timeout with 17:20 to go in the half, and the Geoducks down 8-3. And Jameer Dodd, who will come in for the Geoducks. Last time against this team, I think he had a pretty good night. He did. He had 11 points, one of his 3 double-figure games on the season. And he's coming off a big moment the other night in Idaho when he's playing against his uncle's team, Mark Owen, the head coach of the College of Idaho. Geoducks trailed for a while. Jameer hit the go-ahead basket relatively early, but still a big moment as he snapped the tie for good, and the Geoducks went on to win. That foul was a bump through the lane, so it's taken out of bounds by Richardson. He throws it way out top to Peters. Now to Solomon. Solomon calls a play. George tries to set a screen on Shore, but misses him. There's Christie. Goes baseline against Dodd. The ball bounces out of bounds, and they're going to give it to the Geoducks. So Evergreen catches a break, forcing a turnover there, and now they need to score another basket. To put it very simply, they're down 8-3. You don't want a long run to put you in a hole right at the start. Menifee, the pull-up jumper, rims around and out, taken down by Peters. Now to Richardson. Richardson tried to go by Menifee, couldn't make it happen. Now here's Solomon down the lane, spin move at the foul line. Ball back two-pointer, no good, taken down by Dodd. Menifee. That's Feliciano in the corner. He explores the drive, then gives it to Schroyer for a three. Josh's shot is no good. Evergreen is not making his threes right now, but they are the second leading three-point shooting team in the nation and the sixth leading free throw shooting team. So Evergreen living and dying by its outside shooting at times. And so far they are not dying, but they're a little sick here. And Richardson stepped on the sideline right in front of the Geoduck bench. And Evergreen will take the ball back. Have not allowed it to get any worse for them than it was early, but they're still down 8-3, and they have that one three-pointer by Gallagher to show for their efforts in the first 4 minutes. There's Menifee inside to Feliciano at the mid-post. One bounce dribble off the glass, no, up in the air. Feliciano gets the offensive rebound. Off the glass, no good. Jameer Dodd, no good. Tipped up again to Feliciano, and he dribbles it out of bounds. So Evergreen, certainly with every opportunity there to score, they had the ball 2 feet from the basket and missed 3 shots, and then fumbled it out of bounds. Into the ball game for Northwest now, number 20, Jason Waldman. Waldman is a 6'8 junior from Monroe, right up near the Everett area. And Gerard Jenkins will come in for Evergreen, replacing Feliciano. Peters gives it to Waldman, guarded by Dodd. Now to Solomon. Troyer's on him. Feeds Peters in the post, turns into the lane. No good. Guidex fighting with it on the sideline or baseline. That was very dangerous. They could have lost that ball with absolutely no pressure against them. That would not have been a good thing. There's Menifee for a long three. Hits the back rim. So that vaunted Evergreen shooting is not holding sway just yet here. Hopefully they'll kick in later. Three-pointers short there. That one's knocked out of bounds by Greg George. Another substitution for Northwest as John Van Dyke tries to get everybody in and ready. Nate Room comes in. 6'6" senior from Linwood. He went to the now defunct Cascade College down in Oregon. Evergreen has made 1 of 4 threes right now, and that's Gallagher, and that's their only points. There's Dodd from the left corner, and he makes a three. So Evergreen now, as we said, lives and dies by the three, and they are now in possession of 2 threes and a 2-point deficit with 14:49 to go. And it goes to George. Spins right, off the glass, good. Evergreen trying to cut it down to 1 or 2 again. There's Nate Menifee. Feeds Jenkins inside. He barges into the lane against the new man Room. Now it is Menifee. And we're going to get an illegal screen called against Jameer Dodd. So that is not what the doctor ordered for Evergreen right now. They're down 10-6. Plenty of time, though, with 14:21 to go. You just don't want to come out flat in a playoff game and not regain your fire because it's, as they say in Washington high school ball over and over again, loser out. Evergreen with a vague chance of an at-large berth if they don't win. That ball just thrown straight out of bounds by Waldman. Tried to throw the cross-court pass into the corner for Room, and it was thrown completely out of bounds. Big number of substitutions coming on now for Northwest. Tyler Mendozona for the first time, son of the former coach at Northwest many years ago, Wayne Mendozona. Peters comes back in, and I believe Richardson's back in. He was out for a moment. Here comes Menifee. Feliciano back in for the Geoducks. Amos Saffold in for the Geoducks. So Saffold and Dodd off the bench for Dixon and Gallagher at this point, as opposed to the starting lineup. Menifee, change of acceleration dribble and gets a shot, misses, gets his own rebound. Here goes Troyer into the lane. Now he gives it to Feliciano. Flip shot up and in. 10-8. Geoducks back to within 2. 13:42 to go in the first half. Here's Richardson walking it up. Talked to Jeff Drinkwine earlier today, and he mentioned that teams had been able to get the Geoducks to play a slower brand of ball than they like to play, and that's been the case tonight with Richardson walking it up when he brings it into the front court. Menifee explodes down the lane, flips a left-handed shot up that doesn't come close. So Nate has not worked his 27 points a game magic anytime in this game thus far. He can get hot, though, and it goes to Peters. Feliciano intimidated him a little bit, and he misses. Out to Saffold, right sideline. Saffold pull up, leaning jumper. No good. Leaning a little bit too far forward was probably the problem there. As those of you who played basketball know, go up and down in the same spot. Here's Richardson again walking it up. Again getting the Geoducks in a half-court game. And they got all that size, and there goes cutting across is Tyson Christie to score. Much more size out there on any given possession for Northwest University. Thus, the Geoducks, who don't lack for size, they've got some 6'6", 6'8" type guys, but they need to be a faster team to win. Standstill three by Feliciano. Good. Cuts it to 1. That's the closest the Geoducks have been since this thing started. And Christie got that drive on the opening possession. So Evergreen back to within 1. And yet again, though, as we mentioned, second team in the nation in threes. And they are definitely living on that now with 3 threes for their. There were 3 threes out of their 11 points, 9 of their 11 points. That is Richardson, guarded by Saffold. Saffold, top-notch defender for the Geoducks. Solomon drives and scores. Went right into the teeth of it, past Feliciano and right up into the chest of Dodd and lays it up. 14-11. Here's Menifee, kicks it out to Troyer. He's a 3-shooter, but he won't take one there. He goes into the post to Menifee. Unusual spot for Nate. He goes up and under. Let's see what they're going to call. They count the basket. Bobby Rose, the official there on your screen. making the call. There's a media timeout here. I'm trying to figure out who the foul is on. It will go up on the scoreboard in a minute. While we have the timeout, we'll talk about the other matchups tonight in the Cascade Conference. As I think I mentioned, you have number 8, College of Idaho, against regular season champ Oregon Tech down in Klamath Falls. And another small town hotbed of basketball out in Eastern Oregon. Eastern Oregon University, number 2 in the regular season standings, takes on number 7, Concordia. And in Portland, number 3, Warner Pacific, which actually tied with the Geoducks during the regular season, but won the tiebreaker. They were both 12-6. They will host Northwest Christian. So those are the 3 matchups. We'll try to get a little bit caught up on those as time goes on, but that's where we're at now. And those of you watching this can see Speedy the Geoduck. Speedy got married last week down here. It was quite the event. Not quite sure what it was all about, but it was something that came down from one of the higher levels of authority here at Evergreen that decreed that Speedy and Speedette would get married. So the 2 costumes were donned by humans who proceeded to get married in midcourt. Videotape exists and will be posted to YouTube. So if you missed that scintillating event involving Speedy last weekend, you are about, actually 10 days ago, you'll get a chance to see that coming up on YouTube. But right about now, we're back to basketball. Nate Menifee, who's got an and 1 here after the foul, which was charged to Greg Peters, will have a chance to tie this thing up at 14 should he make this foul shot. Nate, a 80% shooter, 81% on the year. Let's see what happens with this one. It is up, around, and down, and it's tied up. 14 all, 11:39 to go. Stedman Richardson again, walking it up, though. Geoducks might go to some pressure at some point to make that happen. It's stolen away by Menifee, goes against Richardson, loses the ball momentarily off the glass, no good. And the ball ended up hitting Menifee while he was standing on the D of Geoduck underneath the basket down there, and he goes back to Northwest, but still a positive play for Evergreen because it puts a little bit of thought in Northwest's head about the quickness of the Geoduck defenders. And here's some pressure, as I suggested, the Geoducks might want to use to speed this thing up a little bit. Here is Richardson again, guarded by Menifee. This time Nate stays off a little bit, and he does the gnaw pocket, knocks it out from behind, and it'll stay with Northwest. But Menifee that time either was beaten by Richardson or allowed him to think that he was and knocked the ball loose. And it comes to George. Bounce pass to, Rich Skillman, who's in the game now. Number 5, I missed his substitution. There is Skillman. He scored the go-ahead basket against the Geoducks in that 82-80 overtime loss in late January here at the Greenhouse. Devastating blow. And it's stolen now by Skillman away from Menifee. Lob pass to Christie, and he drops it home, and back into the front goes Northwest, 16-14 with 10:47 to play in the first half. Here's Nate. Wants a screen from Feliciano. Drives against Skillman. Sorry, I missed Skillman's entry into the game. I thought he was solid with a single-digit number, and there's Saffold with the long arms making the recovery of a less than good pass, but now it's stripped away from Dodd by Christie. He comes the other way. And it's going to go into the corner. Three-pointer on the way is good by a nodding Blake Solomon as he, with a 5-point lead, chooses to make a little taunt there. So we'll see how the Geoducks react to being dissed like that on their home floor. It's been remarkable over the 10 years I've been here. It's been quite often stated that Evergreen this and Evergreen that when it comes to the street ball aspects of the game, but we've seen time and time again kids from the other schools come in here and do the little taunting and agitating far more than our own teams here at Evergreen. But we'll see how that goes. There's Gallagher with it out beyond the three-point line. He throws it to Feliciano, also way outside. Now Saffold has it. And he makes a nice move, but can't make the shot, and then he gets his own rebound and puts it in. He blew by Solomon so quickly that I think he fooled himself, and he just flipped a horrible shot up that got the ball back and stuck it in. And that cuts Northwest's lead to 19-16 with 9:38 to go. Here's Richardson with Menifee on him. Down the lane, off the glass, good. So Stedman Richardson, perhaps of a mind to have himself another big night. That's his 4th point. Menifee now pounds the ball to the ground as these teams are showing a little bit of intensity. And Solomon waving his hands in the air like he just doesn't care, saying that he blocked the shot. Should have been a jump ball, he tells the assistant coach for Northwest. Menifee's first free throw is no good, so Evergreen missing some chances at the foul line. Into the ball game comes Troyer replacing Saffold. Menifee trying to get it to 4. Dewey Ducks have not looked as fired up as you'd like them to look in a playoff game. There's the second one is good. And here's Stedman Richardson. Menifee will play back off him. Evergreen not really pressuring the ball much here, and that's allowed that slowdown style the drink line was worried about. Load Stedman, bad pass, just off the leg of Menifee. He recovers it, gives it to Gallagher down the lane, and they will count that. Galley wanted to dunk, but the man came at him and fouled him, and that kept that from happening. Stedman Richardson picks up his second foul on that one and gives Gallagher the chance to cut it down to 1 point. 5 team fouls against Northwest, so they're getting perilously close to the bonus as well. Gallagher misses, so Evergreen not exactly distinguished themselves from the foul line so far. They're 2 for 6 now. Gallagher had the chance to convert the and one and did not. Goes to Solomon, bobbles it momentarily, guarded by Troyer. Over it goes to Christie. Hard drive down the lane, all the way to the basket. Count it. So Evergreen lets Tyson Christie get all the way to the glass, and then they're going to get a foul on the play. Foul's on Ben Wilson, who's in the game now. 6'6" junior. Here comes Desmond Martin for Wilson. Wilson was not out there very long. Ben, one of the top three-point shooters in the land. He's at 51%. Doesn't have enough attempts to be ranked in the top echelons of the NAIA, but he was the leading shooter in the nation for a while until his attempts fell off a little bit. Still over 50% though. Christie's second shot, no good. Neither team really excelling from the foul line. That's 1 out of 3 for Northwest at this point. They lead by 4 though, 23-19. Then if he's going to try to make it 1, he does not. It's off the back iron. 3-point attempt from out top, and here comes Blake Solomon. Solomon from Kent. He played his junior college ball out at Big Bend. He's the leading scorer for Northwest. Between the leg dribble for no apparent reason. Swings it to Skillman. Now it goes back to Skillman again as they move the ball very well. Over to Peters inside, guarded by Gallagher. Turnaround jumper, no. Rebounded, bounces around, comes out to Menifee. Menifee with the ball at the three-point arc. Now drives off the glass too hard. He's been too hard on those all night. Taking several of those running drives and not quite a layup, not at all a jump shot, and they've all been too hard. Got a little bit more floateringness on those, if that's a word, and it's not. There's George, turnaround jumper. Nice move, doesn't get it. Peters is stripped, but the ball will stay with Northwest University, and we'll get our second media timeout here. Quickly looking at the statistics, as we mentioned, the Dewey Ducks are a team that has to shoot well. Their three-point shots are right where they should be as the number 2 team in the nation in three-point percentage. They're at 50%, 3 for 6. But inside the line, they are faring quite poorly at just 4 for 17 inside the arc, and that is not good. For Northwest, they are at 52.6% though, 10 for 19. Very efficient, 2 for 4 from the three-point line. Rebounding is fairly even at this juncture, which is the 7:43 to go mark of the first. Evergreen out rebounding Northwest 15-13, and they have also forced 7 turnovers and just committed 5, but their lack of ability to convert their shots has been the difference thus far as Northwest holds a 4-point lead. And to be honest, seems more of the aggressive team. They are, again, as I said, they want to run a slower game in the half court, a lot of ball movement as opposed to running up and down, but they're much crisper with what they're doing than Evergreen is with what they're doing. Ball will be inbounded by Northwest under the goal they're shooting at here in a moment. Ball, Greg Peters had gone up for a shot, had it knocked out of bounds, but the Dewey Duck player touched it last. And it comes to Skillman. That's Desmond Martin on him. Skillman drops it for Tyler Mendozon. There's a long three by Solomon, no good. Comes off long to Menifee, 2-on-2 break. Troyer, baseline against Solomon. Flip shot instead of a layup off the glass, and it doesn't go. Not sure what Josh was thinking there, but a non-fundamental shot costing the Gooey Ducks. George gives it to Mendozona. On to Skillman, now back to Solomon, inside to George. 9 seconds on the timer. They definitely using their time. George spin move, and he'll draw an and one. So they take it down to 8 seconds and then score on the Gooey Ducks. They're playing their style of ball, and the Gooey Ducks are not at this point. So if anybody wants to know what's going on in this ball game, that's exactly what is happening. The Gooey Ducks are allowing Northwest to impose their will of the slow-down game, and then they're playing it quite well. Well over 50% shooting as George goes to the line with a 6-point lead, trying to make it 7. Early on, Warner Pack with a 7:40 to go on their second media timeout. Warner Pack leads Northwest Christian 20-15. Shot is good by George. They go up by 7. Warner being led by Cologne Riley in that one. He has 10 points and 4 rebounds already. Back here live, that's Nate Menifee coming across the timeline. Gooey Ducks need to do something. You can see by the score, 26-19 with under 7 to go in the half, that it is definitely Northwest style as opposed to Evergreen style. Northwest, one of the better rebounding teams in the NAIA, and they will bang inside with their big men and make that work. Nate Feliciano looked for a cutter. Now flips the short shot up, and he has not been good at that tonight. He has not been successful in those kind of shots, and that is his bread and butter. Chance for Northwest to go up by 9 or 10 here. Mendozona to Richardson, tries to drive baseline, does drive baseline, now kicks it out to Solomon, who drives to the free throw line, shoots short. Troyer, Menifee, across midcourt. Three-pointer on the pull-up, no. So Nate Menifee also not having the game he'd like to have in a do-or-die situation, as he is 1 for 8 right now from the field, only 4 points. Richardson, pull-up jumper, no off the back iron, taken down by Feliciano, ahead to Desmond Martin. He'll go one-on-one against Richardson and then throw a non-effective shot off the rubber padding below the backboard. So Evergreen not getting the shots they want. Not only are they shooting 27%, some of those shots are just not going to go in. I mean, that shot there was geometrically impossible. You can't shoot it under the rim and expect it to go in. So Gooey Ducks need to get a little bit more organized here and hope that things go better for them as time goes on. Because right now they're not playing well. John Van Dyke took that timeout. And the Gooey Ducks trail 26-19 with 5:34 to go. Evergreen would play, the winner of this game, I should say, will play the top remaining seed, which if it is the conference champion would be Oregon Tech. Another game underway as the first period dwindles in Klamath Falls. The Coyotes of College of Idaho are leading the Owls 31-25 down there in the Klamath Basin. As Noah Gottlieb has 14 points and Craig McGee 8 for the Yotes. So there's a possible upset in the making, which, if Evergreen were to win this game, would hurt and help Evergreen. It would be a conference champ going out in their tournament, but it would also give the Gooey Ducks theoretically an easier path to a tournament championship, as the Yotes would be seated below them, and in any matchup between Evergreen and College of Idaho would take place here. However, right now, the Gooey Ducks have a much bigger problem than that. They're down by 9 points. And had Tyson Christie not kicked that one out of bounds, he might have gathered it in and put the Gooey Ducks down by 11. So, actually, Gooey Ducks down by 7. That would have been 9. 26-19. Thought there was a light out on the scoreboard, but no, it's a legitimate 6. Here's Menifee over to Troyer, now into Feliciano. Julio, one bounce dribble, fall back jumper, around and down. Off the glass twice. Didn't think that was going to go, but it did. And that puts the Guidex back to within 5. Definitely not in a bad spot. They're at their home floor and they're in the game. They just need to show a little bit more championship type fire. There is Richardson missing. And Menifee coming up with the ball off the floor. Gives it to Troyer. Troyer has moved up to the second leading scorer for the Guidex now, 10.2 a game. This is going to be Dodd, cross under, off the glass, no good. Guidex continue to struggle. 28% before that shot. There's Christie to Richardson, pull up off the glass, not close. Taken down by Gallagher, outlet to Menifee. This has happened a number of times, but Evergreen has not converted many shots. Menifee having a bad shooting night thus far. Here it goes to Gallagher. Gallagher with a strange arm action on his shot. It didn't go. It looked like he might have been hit, but there's no foul called, and he's not complaining, so probably not. Here's Mendozona. Moving screen was set there by Room, and it was not called. Didn't do any damage is probably why, but he was moving into the man. There's Richardson, the dot on him. Now another screen by Room, much better fundamentally. Here's Mendozona trying for a 3 and making it. So the Northwest fans, right to my left here, are very happy as their team goes back up by 8 points with 3 minutes and 39 seconds to go. And the Guidex ice cold. Here's Dodd into Gallagher. Gallagher's shot is blocked, but he's fouled. Greg George put the arm on Galley, and he'll go to the line. 3:32 to play. First half, Guidex down, not only down by 8, but they've only scored 21 points. That is not Evergreen basketball. Numerous substitutions. Solomon, Peters, and Skillman coming back in for Northwest. Evergreen did not substitute there. But just to set the Guidex, they have Saffold, Dodd, Gallagher, Troyer, and Menifee on the floor right now. Gallagher missed the first. Here's his second. Got it. 29-22, so Evergreen down by 7. They're at 3 for 8 from the foul line right now. And not doing well from inside the arc, believe it or not. Another bucket for George, puts them up by 9. 31-22 are the Northwest Eagles. There's Nate Menifee. Swings it to Saffold. Troyer launches a 3, no good. Taken down by George. There's Christie on his way to the bucket. There's Rick Berry like that, and now Christie's going to show out. He does a little growl into the crowd, so one would hope, if you're an Evergreen fan, that they're taking note of this, and one would hope that Commissioner Dave Hagelin, who's on hand, takes note of the fact that it's not the Guidex who are talking mess right now. Missed by Gallagher, and talking mess or not, it is the Northwest University Eagles who are playing better basketball right now. Maybe they deserve to talk a little mess. And it goes to Peters. Peters off the glass, no good, taken down by Saffold. He gives it to Menifee. Don't forget, though, if Menifee gets hot, an 11-point lead can drop off in a hurry. Here's Dodd trying to cut it to 8. Does not, too long. Taken down by Skillman. So Guidex just really have not been in this thing at all. They've just kind of been taking a beating. Down by 11 with 2 minutes to go in the half. Here's Skillman, tries to get past Saffold, can't. Forces a shot, and it goes. It's been that kind of night for the Evergreen right now. Amos Saffold played tremendous defense, and Skillman just put it up over him and got it. And Evergreen's down by 13 points. There's Menifee, pulls up, floater, good. He needed something to keep from getting even farther down. 35-24 as the Guidex cut it to 11. 1:42 to go. Plenty of time for them to come back, but right now, if you're an Evergreen fan, you can't like the level of enthusiasm. Nice move by Saffold to knock that out of bounds. Ben Wilson and Julio Feliciano coming back in for Dodd and Gallagher. And in for Northwest, Jason Waltman makes another appearance, replacing Peters. 35-24, 1:35 to go. Poor shooting Guidex team, shooting just 24% to a Northwest team that's shooting 50. That scored just 24 points. Evergreen team that is a high-scoring, explosive team and has been for the last 3 years. And there's a potential over the back that wasn't called as Richardson came down the front court, stuck his foot back right in front of Bobby Rose, so I'm sure there's some technical aspect of that made it not over and back. Bobby, a long-time top-notch official. Crazy pass there from Christie, goes off the front rim. Got to charge him with a shot attempt, I guess. There's Menifee over to Troyer. Inside to Wilson. Wilson, short shot, around and out. Geoidex just cannot get anything to go from inside. They are 3 for 9 from 3, which is not terribly good, but they are 6 for 25 from inside the arc. They're shooting 24% inside the line, 33 outside the line. So it has been the easy gimmies that Evergreen has worked to get that they have not converted, and that is why they are down by 11 with less than a minute to go in the first half. That's Waldman. He's going to pull up for a 3, and he's going to make it. People are just rolling tough up over there. Waldman 33% from three-point range, but just get the suspicion that he's not, Waldman taking the 3 is not the first option for Northwest, but they have a 14-point lead now with just 46 seconds left in the half. Not remotely what you'd expect to see from the higher-seeded team at home. The Geoidex, 24 points right now, would not in any way, shape, or form equal what they're used to scoring. They had senior night a couple of weeks ago, but truly this could be senior night for Menifee, Feliciano, and Gallagher, and you'd hate to see them go out without a fight. Scott Alaz also. Amos Saffold. Feliciano goes off the glass as Christie with a flop. Now he's going to turn to Bobby Rose and ask for the, now he's shaking his head. Very interesting to see the behavior of some of these teams when it is Evergreen and sometimes Warner Pack that are stereotyped as being the ruffian-type teams. There's Waldman. Top of the key now, he drops it off for Stedman Richardson, guarded by Menifee. Trying to take the last shot. Down the lane he goes, shoots with 5 seconds to go, no good. Let's see if another shot can be taken. It is by Richardson, no good. So disappointing first half, but a great first half if you're a Northwest fan. But if you're an Evergreen fan, very disappointing as it is 38-26 in favor of Northwest. And the Geoidex, realistically, if they want their season to be a good one, they need to come back here and keep their tournament hopes alive. Even if they were to get an at-large bid coming off if this half were replicated and they were to be beaten badly by Northwest for the second straight blowout loss and then have to wait a couple of weeks for the national tournament to start, that would not be a good way to go in any case. So Geoidex really need to rally here and make this more of a ball game. Let's look at the first half statistics. As we mentioned, the key stat in the whole thing, Evergreen cannot shoot the ball. They're averaging they're shooting 27.8 in the half, 10 for 36. And the real culprit has been the layups. They're 3 of 9 from three-point range, not superlative, but certainly better than the 7 for 27 they're shooting from inside the arc. Northwest University is shooting 48%. They actually dropped off a little bit from the earlier pace, but they have made 4 of 7 threes. Rebounding, Northwest has taken the edge there at 24-22 now. Turnovers, Evergreen has forced 3 more turnovers. Northwest kicking it over 8 times to Evergreen's 5, but again, the shooting has made that meaningless. Literally actually Northwest has more points off turnovers. Northwest has scored 7 points off turnovers, Evergreen just 6. So yeah, it's been meaningless that Evergreen's forced more turnovers because they simply haven't been able to do anything with it at the other end. Individually for Northwest, they're being led in scoring right now by Tyson Christie. Tyson Christie looking like the second coming of Rick Barry out there. He's wearing number 24, and he's been slashing to the basket, 5 for 6 from the field. He's grabbed 3 rebounds, which is not up among the leaders. 7 points for Greg George. He is one of the rebounding leaders with 5. Greg Peters has 6. And Stedman Richardson with 4 points and 4 rebounds. Over on the Geoidex side of the things, Julio Feliciano leading scorer thus far with 9 points. He's 4 for 7 from the field, which is the only remotely effective field goal shooting the Geoidex have right now. Nate Menifee has 6 points, but he's on 2 of 10 shooting. Not a typical night for him. Anthony Gallagher has 6. And Jameer Dodd has 3. He made 1 3-pointer. Let's take a tour through the league before I take a little bit of a break here. Let's take a tour through the league on some of these other games. I cannot get a score to appear on the Warner Pack game at this point. Eastern Oregon is beating Concordia right now at the half, 49-37. That's to be expected in that ball game. As for Eastern Oregon, Dan Stafford is the key player. He's scored 11 points. And Jason Holsworth has 9 for Concordia. And in the game where we're looking at a potential upset at halftime in Klamath Falls, the Yotes are up 33-29. Not much of a lead against Danny Miles and company on Danny Miles court. So we'll see how the Owls do in the second half. And we are having a tough time getting the update on the Warner Pack contest. Nope, there it is. 45 seconds to go in the half. Warner Pack is up 31-27 over Northwest Christian. So at this point, we got 2 upsets in the making and 2 where the chalk is holding sway. We'll be back with the second half here from the greenhouse in about 11 minutes. All right, we're back live from the greenhouse in Olympia, Washington, on the campus of the Evergreen State College, where we're watching the quarterfinals of the Cascade Collegiate Conference Men's Basketball Championships. And right now, the top-seeded team, the Evergreen State College, not top-seeded in the tournament, but the higher seed tonight, is having its collective head handed to it by the visitors from Northwest University. The Eagles leading this thing 38-26 with 20 minutes remaining in the game. And it will remain to be seen what the Geoducks can do about that. They have the second best long-range shooting team in the nation this year, but what is killing them right now is their short-range shooting. They have advanced the ball around the glass any number of times and missed again and again. One possession, they had 3 shots by 2 different players surrounding the ball, hurting it into the basket, and it just didn't go. And then one of the players dribbled it off his foot and out of bounds. So nothing has really gone the Geoducks' way. They'll get a break here, though, as they will have the ball to start the second half. And we will see what they can do with it. So look at the front court for the Geoducks as Menifee out of your screen to the left will inbound to Tyrell Dixon, who started the game at the point as he usually does, but did not play very long. And there's Dixon to Feliciano, almost a turnover right away, but Menifee comes over, he gets it to Feliciano off the glass, good. So the Geoducks get it down to 10. 38-28 here in the early going in the second half, only a few seconds gone. Here's Richardson. That's the play the Geoducks weren't making in the first half, so if you're an Evergreen fan, hopefully that's a good sign. Lob up to Peters. Volleyballs it back, no good. Comes Dixon with it. Takes it left side over by the Geoduck logo, now to Menifee. Acceleration dribble, now gives it to Tyrell. Tyrell to Troyer. Feliciano holding it up top. Beckoning for Menifee to run the show here with 17 seconds left on the timer. There's Troyer. Nate for 3. Nate makes 3. Just like that, Geoducks pair the margin to 7. And the start of this quarter first start of this half, I should say, could be a good sign for Evergreen as they make the layup, which they were missing. And Nate Menifee, who was 2 for 10 in the first half shooting, makes his first shot. So Geoducks still have a long hill to climb here, and there is Christie stepping on the line. So another powerful move by Christie, who I was calling the second coming of Rick Barry. If those of you who are young, Rick Barry was a great player for Golden State, Houston a little bit back in the day, 70s and early 80s. Evergreen acting like they need all this time as they're going to roll it up. Tyrell picks it up. Hands it to Menifee again, as I've said. Well, Menifee's taken off the sleeve, so you're just going to have to try to pick out the number 1. That's Nate Menifee down the lane. Off the glass, no, but he's fouled. Tyrell Dixon and Nate Menifee about the same size and weight, and they both have single-digit numbers. Often Nate wears a sleeve, but he's not wearing that tonight, so you're just going to have to look for the numbers. Foul there is on Richardson. That's his 3rd, and Menifee has a pair. He can cut it to 5 if he does it. He cuts it to 6. With 1 remaining, here comes Rich Skillman in for Richardson. Richardson, of course, as we mentioned a couple of times, lit up the Geoducks about a month ago in the last regular season meeting of these two teams. He scored 31 here, which was more than twice his next best outing of the season. And if he does cut it to 5, 38-33 with 18:27 to go. But Richardson has not exploded in this game. It has been more of a team effort as the nice passing and ball movement of Northwest, which is not in evidence on this possession, was what carried them to that big lead early in the first half. Here goes Christie again down the lane. What a nice move, kept up and in by George. Christie misses, but he has found the gaps very well for Northwest tonight. Here comes Dixon. 40-33, 17:56 to go. And if he pushes off, no call there. He goes down and gets hammered, no call there. So Nate gets away with a push, gets knocked to the floor, waves in discontent at the official, and on all of that, there's no call. 40-35, 17:42 to go. Here's Skillman. Up top to Greg George. Looked for the cutter, didn't have him. There's Christie, guarded by Gallagher, gets a screen. Now to Skillman. Short, rebounded by Gallagher. Here comes Menifee. Dewey Duck fans got to hope that one of these big turnarounds that often happens in college basketball happens here. Here's Nate down the lane and one. Holy cow, the Dewey Ducks putting on a quick comeback here. Menifee down the lane, layup, cuts it to three. And he has a free throw coming. And timeout by John Van Dyke as he has seen a little bit more than he can bear this second half. Evergreen trailed by 12 at the break, and now they have cut it right to three and made it into basically a new ball game. Not exactly a new ball game, but one of these things where if you're just playing along and it's a three-point gap, you're not really worried about it if you're either team. Of course, John Van Dyke worried now because what had got him the lead, the Dewey Ducks' inability to convert inside, has, at least for 2 minutes, vanished. 2.5 minutes has vanished as Feliciano scored inside, Menifee scores inside, and Menifee's poor shooting in the first half, 2 for 10, has seemingly evaporated here as he connects on the three and now on a layup. Actually, 2 drives and a layup for Nate in this half so far, so he has come alive. That's his 16th point there as he tacks it on to the and one and cuts the margin to 2. Evergreen can tie or take the lead if they get a stop here. Here's Christie. He's been dangerous, though, driving to the basket, guarded by Gallagher. Nice play by Nate to steal the ball and the pass to Skillman. Layup, good. The Dewey Ducks have tied it in less than 3 minutes. In 2 minutes and 54 seconds, Evergreen erases a 12-point lead, and they've got the Eagles on the run here. Here's Tyler Mendozona. He's guarded by Char. Not a big crowd tonight, but a noisy one right now. He caught it on his hip. They don't call it. He goes in and lays it up. Tyler Mendozona trapping it on his hip and makes a nice move. Other than that, to drive by Evergreen. So back into the lead go the Northwest Eagles. Evergreen knowing full well that despite their being nationally ranked right now, their chances of getting into the tournament, Feliciano has his shot blocked. Their chances of getting into the tournament are much heightened by a good performance in the tournament. Nobody looks at Christie. He lays it up and he misses. Christie's been having a great night. Nobody checked him. He went all the way to the glass, guarded only by the back of Jose Feliciano, and he makes it go. Here's Nate. Uses the screen from Julio. Another screen from Feliciano. Nate reverses his dribble. Tyrell Dixon will launch a three. He will be short. It'll be rebounded by Blake Solomon. So now a chance to build back their lead has Northwest, but any basketball game, if you're going to come back, you usually need to make two runs. You're going to make the one to catch up, then the other team's going to have a flurry, and then if you win, you make yet another run to get ahead to stay, and Evergreen's going to have to find that one too. They certainly found the energy in the first 3 minutes to wipe out Northwest's lead, but now Northwest has a 2-point lead again and trying to add to it. Good ball movement again, 4 seconds though, and down the lane goes Mendozona. Nice move by Tyler Mendozona. That's got to hurt the Dewey Ducks. They ran out the entire 35-second clock down to 2 seconds, and then Mendozona beats everyone. That's how Evergreen has let the game go away from their own style a little bit. There's Gallagher, no good. And now Northwest can go up by 6 with 15 minutes to play. Again, Mendozona on the leader. He makes it and he's fouled. And now, what I mentioned ago holds doubly true for Evergreen. They really are going to have to make a second run as they're going to be down 7 if Mendozona converts this free throw. Dewey Ducks bringing in some longer defenders now as Saffold and Desmond Martin check in for Dixon and Troyer. Troyer, as we mentioned, is surged into a position scoring-wise where he's Dewey Ducks' second leading scorer, but he has not scored tonight. So seeing that, Drinkwine is going to go probably with a little bit more defense and hope someone else can score. 47-40, so the Dewey Ducks roared back, tied it at 40 on the layup by Nate Menifee after less than 3 minutes had gone by, but now they're going to have to make another comeback as Northwest has gotten up back to a 7-point lead, but at least Evergreen has shown signs of life, and certainly a 7-point lead after, bad pass by Southland right to Skillman, who was guarding him. So again, Evergreen getting a little soggy here. It's one thing to let the other team get a little bit of a lead back, but another thing to go back to what was hurting you before. Up and under move there by Greg George. And now that leads back up to 9. However, I would say this on the Gooey Ducks' behalf, is even though the lead has gone back up to 9 points, the fact that they were able to tie and the fact that they showed a little life and a little energy is certainly going to go a long ways towards making that second run I talked about. You're just not going to win a basketball game in the last 40 minutes by making a good 3-minute run. So Evergreen down by 9, but they got a chance with plenty of time, 14 and a half minutes to go. They have the faster team, the better shooting team, but they've shown a little bit of a lack of attentiveness on defense tonight, which has allowed Tyson Christie and more recently Tyler Mendozona, who's 4 for 4 on his slashes to the bucket and his 1 3-pointer, to put double figures on the board, along with the inside work of Greg George. Around the league, OIT has restored order down in their place, but only by 1 point with just under 12 minutes to go. The Owls have taken a 43-42 lead over the College of Idaho, as Joseph Foster has 14 points and Miles Daly 11 for the Owls. Eastern Oregon pulling away from Concordia. 11 minutes left in that one, but they're up by 25, 76-51. So looks like Eastern will be holding their number 2 seed and hosting another playoff game on Saturday. Here comes Menifee into the front court as play resumes. Evergreen tied it at 40, but now they're back down by 9. Here's Gallagher off the glass, and he misses. Feliciano is there. He's fouled. So Julio Feliciano, hate to see him leave Evergreen, as he has put in 3 very strong years along with Nate Menifee. You see them conversing there on your screen. Julio has been a passer, a rebounder, a scorer on occasion. Just the cliche these days is the glue guy. He's the one that makes the team better. He does get stats. He gets high numbers of assists and rebounds, but not necessarily a high-scoring player, but definitely a guy that keeps his team moving forward. Here's his second shot, and it's good. 49-41. Gooey Ducks down by 8. 14-18 to go. Another thing that's at stake here tonight is a nice little streak that Evergreen coach Jeff Drinkwine has had going. He took over a program that had kind of fallen on hard times and has won over 20 games the last 2 years and has 19 wins this year. So he'd like to pull this one out and get his 3rd straight 20-win season. There's Christie. He kicks it out into the corner to Mendozona, who knocks down his second 3 of the night. And it's back to a double-digit lead. So again, Evergreen now needs to do something. There's Menifee with a bomb. No good. So about 25. So the lead has been restored by Northwest. There's Mendozona. He's the man of the hour. He's 5 for 5. Skillman drives. He's beaten. He blows by Desmond Martin. And now, from the tie of a moment ago, 4 minutes ago, Evergreen tied the ball game. They've now given up a 14-1 run, in which they have not looked able to stop anyone on defense. Northwest has driven to the basket seemingly at will here in this last stretch. So Evergreen once again will have to erase a 13-point, possibly a 14-point lead. This could be the biggest lead of the night for Northwest should this free throw fall. It does, so they have a 14-point lead. And this time, Skillman just jogs back, slaps 5 with his teammate. Here comes Menifee with it. Menifee goes up, misses. And now it looks like Northwest might just run away with this. Looks like Evergreen had, as the phrase goes, restored order, put the higher seed back into the ball game, and now it's just gone the other way. They didn't even get that loose ball. There's Tyson Christie, guarded by Gallagher. Inside it goes to Peters. Peters spins, blocked by Feliciano. Gallagher gets it. Gooey Ducks got to get something going. Here it goes to Jameer Dodd in the ball game. Jameer tries to drive, pulls up, back to Menifee. Saffold, 3-point range, doesn't take it though. Now Feliciano. Gallagher back to Feliciano, stripped of the ball by Richardson. He'll go in for a layup. He'll miss, but he's fouled by Gallagher. So Evergreen Back-to-back 20-win seasons, back-to-back appearances in the conference championship game, all the way to the Sweet 16 last year, losing to Indiana Wesleyan there. Just have not appeared their old selves either tonight or at Eastern Oregon over the weekend, in which they were blown out by 37 points. Had a couple of decent practices this week and looked like they might be able to get back on the horse and get some damage done tonight. But they're facing what is likely their season here if they don't rally. As we said many times tonight, they right now, given the way the national rankings go, Evergreen at number 25 would have an at-large bid. However, if very many of the number one seeds in various conference tournaments are defeated over the next week or so, the Geoducks could slip right out of that slot. There will be no more rankings, so the win or loss does not affect that. It just affects their ability to win this tournament that they're in right now, the Cascade Conference tournament, which is the most direct route to Branson. Here's Menifee. Geoducks down by 16 points. They were tied only 5 minutes ago after making a tremendous rally to start the half. Dodds fouled there by Skillman. There's no doubt the Geoducks have this in them, but whether they're going to summon it up tonight, I don't know. It's not really the look of excitement. The crowd was in it a moment ago, as we mentioned, when around the 17-minute mark when Geoducks tied it. But the crowd, of course, now is sitting back going, what the heck just happened here? As we've just given up a 17-1 run. There's Jameer Dodd. He makes that one to make it a 17-2 run. The Geoducks trail by 15 points. 12 minutes and 16 seconds left in their Cascade Conference season if they don't battle back here. And as I mentioned before, even should they get a berth to the national tournament, that doesn't start for a couple of weeks. So a loss tonight would put the Geoducks on the sidelines for a long, long time, even if they get in that tournament. Here comes Richardson. Menifee on him. Gives it to Skillman. High pass to Peters. No Geoduck attempts to get him. Now to Solomon. Tries to drive on Troyer. Does. Makes it. 59-42. Stolen by Richardson, but he knocks it out of bounds. And now Bobby Rose overrules it, much to the delight of the Northwest fans. And we're going to have a chance for, they could actually go up by 20 points here. If Northwest was to make a three, they'd go up by 20. Remarkable, given Geoducks came out of the locker room going all out at it, but maybe they just had that 3-minute run in them. They need a second one. Now it's got to be a bigger run than the one they made coming out of the locker room. There's Skillman driving unmolested to the basket. He misses. Here come the Geoducks. Menifee looking serious this time as he goes 100 miles an hour down there and scores. 59-44. Geoducks will take a timeout, which I don't know if that's the media or not. I guess that's the media. He points to the middle, so that's the media. Drinkwine wanted a 30, but it turns into a full on the media timeout. So the Geoducks definitely got their work cut out for them. They rallied back from a big halftime deficit to tie it with 17:05 to go, and now they have squandered that and more. They're down 59-44. Again, we'll try to see what some of these scores are around the conference again. As we mentioned, Eastern Oregon up by 23 points against visiting Concordia, so looks like the Mountaineers will advance to Saturday's next round, which they will host. The College of Idaho still battling Oregon Tech. The Owls are in the lead, 50-48, but the College of Idaho, with a nice performance by Craig McGee with 19 and Noah Gottlieb with 18, are hanging right around with 8 minutes to go in that one. Chance that College of Idaho could do what Evergreen did a couple years ago and beat Oregon Tech in the first round of the tournament at their place. And Warner Pack clinging to a 5-point lead over Northwest Christian with about 13 minutes to go down in Portland. All right, here we go. Geoducks down 15. They've got to make a big, big surge here with 11 minutes and 30 seconds to go. George has it between the circles. Pass whipped into Christie's, hammered by Jameer Dodd. Just nailed him. 2 shots for Christie. Christie has, as I mentioned, done well by himself tonight. He has not made a field goal in this half, but he had a 5 for 6 performance in the first half. That was a big part of the first lead that Northwest took. He has not been a part of building this one, but he can get in on the fun here. Does not as he misses the first. Evergreen's got to hope that keeps going on for Northwest, as they're not going to get anywhere if Northwest is making free throws. Both teams with 4 fouls right now, so that's even and about where you'd expect it to be. Another miss, so Christie gives the Gudux a break. Feliciano tracks down the rebound, gives it to Menifee. Menifee uses the screen from Feliciano. Now he loses the ball, but there's a foul. And Blake Solomon shows his distaste for the call, then throws it to the official. Foul's actually called on Mendozona. There's the three launched by Feliciano, and he nails it. Sometimes you wonder why Julio doesn't take more of those. He just seems so calm and so relaxed when he takes them. 12-point lead. Gudux were in danger of going down by 20 a minute ago. They got it down to 12, which is small consolation when you're facing a 12-point deficit with 11 minutes to play. But there's a turnover. It's going to be off Greg George, as there were two Gudux trying to strip it from him. I thought that might stay with Northwest, but it goes to Evergreen. Chance here to get it back down to as few as 9 with a three-pointer. So still a ball game. Evergreen not looking serious about winning it, but still a game. Oh, what a beautiful shot by Nate Menifee. I've been watching this guy for 3 years and 4 years, really. I watched him at Warner Pack, and he always pulls something new, and that was a down-the-lane clutch shot-put-like floater that went in. How does that happen? Gudux cut it to 10, but they've got to keep cutting it. They can't let another lead build up. Tyler Mendozona just swirls by everyone. He's having himself a heck of a half here. Mendozona averages 3.7 points a game, and he has 13 right now here with a chance to go up to 15. You remember, as we've talked about repeatedly, the game by Stedman Richardson, who averages just 9.7 when he went for 30 here. Doesn't look like Mendozona is going to go for 30, but he has certainly outdone his usual performance tonight. And I don't know what that means, but Evergreen has, in back-to-back outings against Northwest at home, allowed a player that is not one of the top 3 scorers to, quote-unquote, go off. And here comes Skillman in for Mendozona, who gets a deserved break after turning up his game here this half for the Eagles. They take a 12-point lead. Here's Menifee. Looks like a quickness mismatch against Skillman. Nate will launch a 3. He'll make a 3. Nate Menifee, 61-52. Hopefully he can pull off a performance reminiscent of another number 5 that I recall back in, there's Menifee committing a foul along the sidelines there. Many, many years ago, I coached the girls basketball team at St. Elizabeth High School in Oakland, and they were playing St. Joseph in a boys game. And Jason Kidd, who, as everyone knows, not a very good three-point shooter, Liz got a big lead, and all of a sudden Jason Kidd was knocking down threes. So here's Nate Menifee, who can make threes. His team's down 9 with less than 10 to go, and perhaps the season at stake. He might turn in one of those kid-like performances. He might try to make a steal there, but knocks it out of bounds. Menifee has just 1 foul. Gudux will be giving up bonus next time they foul, though, and they're going to give up a layup here. No, it's blocked by Gallagher. Huge play by Gallagher to block an easy layup that was going in by Christie. There's George down the lane. He does score, though, so back to an 11-point edge. As Greg George made a nice dash down the lane to score that one. My apologies for a couple of times calling him Jeff George, the old NFL quarterback. There's Menifee. That's going to be short. And taken down by George. Gives it to Stedman Richardson. Key moment here. The time is getting short. Still plenty of time, but you can't let this lead go the other way with just 9:23 to go if you're Evergreen, trailing by 11. Crowd finally getting into it here at Evergreen. Evergreen, interesting fans. They like the team, but they don't. Oh, there goes Richardson down the lane. And John Van Dyke wants a 30. Gudux down 13. They got to do something quickly here. Gudux fans are an interesting bunch. There's a huge throng of students that will come to these games and then just kind of sit there. And community fans are rabid when the Gudux are playing for a championship. Tonight they're playing the first-round game, and unfortunately, if they don't get something going, there won't be anything remotely like a championship game. to draw the community out. In fairness, though, the Winter Olympics going on television, right in the thick of the different high school playoff tournaments. There's no games tonight in the high school tournaments in this area, but there were some last night. There'll be some tomorrow. So the casual fan, perhaps not here tonight, but the diehard Geoduck fans are here, but they don't make a lot of noise, and that's something that over the years has cost Evergreen from having that hometown crowd. And now the official is stating that someone's giving him guff over there, and so he's talking to the game management personnel, Mike Anchors over there, about, now he's talking to him again. We had to toss a couple of people out of here the last time, as there are those who will act the fool individually, but the crowd together doesn't make a lot of noise here. So let's see if they can get something going here right now. There's Ben Wilson with a slam dunk to cut the margin to 11. Evergreen's still not in a good place here. They got to make a couple of turnovers happen. Here's Menifee. He's given Richardson a tough time earlier, but now Richardson goes down the lane, dribbles it out of bounds. They're going to give it back to Northwest. I thought that he just dribbled that straight out of bounds, but Menifee is admitting that he touched it, saying it went off Stedman's leg, and the official's not buying that. Looked to me like he just dribbled it straight out, but Menifee admitting that he did touch it. And it goes to George. Feliciano trying to hold him off. Now he spins left-hand shot in the middle. No good. Taken down by Troyer. Troyer comes the other way. Evergreen needs to score on just about every possession. There's Troyer. He's a good three-shooter. Wilson a good three-shooter. Menifee a good three-shooter. Feliciano a decent three-shooter. And Gallagher. So all 5 Evergreen players on the court are part of that aggregation that gives them the number 2 ranking in three-point shooting percentage in the nation. Here's Nate, down 11, 8:24 to go. Ben Wilson with it, guarded by Richardson. A lot of mosh pit going on in the lane, but nobody really getting open as a result. Here's Menifee cutting. Pass from Feliciano, knocked out of bounds by Tyson Christie. Geoducks retain possession, but they'll just have 7 seconds to get off a shot here, as they took a page out of Northwest's book and ran a complex play there. Did not get them the result that Northwest has gotten several times tonight out of their 30-second possessions. Officials are on this and tapping the head to indicate to each other that possibility of a violation. And it goes to Feliciano. 6, 5, 4. Menifee has to just throw garbage up there. Doesn't even touch anything. So Evergreen, instead of coming out of that situation with a quick hitting play and possibly getting a basket, end up with the worst possible thing. Menifee with his dribble exhausted, just throwing something up. It's hard not to keep belaboring the same point just at the 8-minute mark right now. And Evergreen down 11, plenty of time. Teams have come back from farther than that and less than that, but they've got to do something to do that. They can't just hope. There's Solomon. He launches a 3 that rattles in and out, and George gets the rebound, and he's fouled. And I believe they're going to call that a shot. There's absolutely no way under the stars above that was a shooting foul. George had come down with a rebound, and he was definitely fouled, but he was barely had the rebound, much less putting it back up. But that will be the call, and George will go to the line. He's a 66% shooter, so good chance for Northwest to add to their lead here. On the night, George has made his only free throw. It came at the end of an and one, obviously. Left-handed shooter. Sets his sights. Fires and makes it. 66-54, 12-point lead for Northwest. Actually, my complaint about the foul being ruled a shooting foul, not that big a deal since it would have been a bonus anyway, and he did make the first. So no harm done to the Geoducks there. They should have just got the rebound and left it at that. Second shot rims out, snatched down by Feliciano. Ahead to Menifee. Geoducks down 12, 7:42 to go, 66-54. There's Troyer right into a rhythm shot. No good. Into the hands of Galley, though. Puts it back up and in. Geoducks cut it to 10. He's still alive here. Christie rubbing up the ball like a pitcher before he throws it in bounds. Must be some sweat on it. Now Richardson prevails upon the officials to stop the game. Then he wipes it on his sweaty jersey. Now the official wipes it on his pants. Hopefully that gets it dry. 66-56, 7:26 to go in the half. That should have been a media timeout, I would think, unless somebody took a full that I don't recall to burn it. Here's Richardson. Across the timeline, Geoducks need at least 4 or 5 stops to get this thing back in their favor. There's Skillman, layup on the gut back. And Julio Feliciano just turns around and Can't believe that his team didn't stop that play. Here's Menifee, foul line, forces a pass, taken back by Northwest. Gudex not together, not in sync. Here's Richardson, uses a couple of screens, goes down the lane, dishes to George, good. Julio Feliciano looking up at the scoreboard like, how much more of this do we have to take? Gudex got to get excited. They're down 14. They got to do something now. And they're not showing many signs of doing so. Here's Wilson, the best three-point shooter in America. He's short that time. Long that time. And Wilson, 51% three-point shooter. One of the few men in America can say he's probably going to make it when he shoots a three. The actual leader right now is at 47. Ben's at 51, but he doesn't have enough attempts. Here goes Richardson. Evergreen doesn't stop until he's into the paint. Christie has it up top. Solomon misses. Here's a nice pass ahead to Menifee from Feliciano. Hesitation dribble. Now he kicks it back to Gallagher. Gallagher to Wilson in the right corner. That's short. He's fouled. He doesn't like the non-call. Looks at the official, and the official wasn't there. The official was on the other side of the court. And now they're slowing it down even more. Evergreen really not, except for a 3-minute span at the start of the second period, Evergreen really did not look like they were in this thing. Here's a foul as Skillman goes up. Evergreen shooting 38% from the night. 37, actually now they're down, they're at 33% from three, 36 from inside the line. So Evergreen just not really getting it done at all tonight. Wholesale substitutions. Tyler Mendozona has been the man of the hour in the second half. He's coming back in along with Peters and Waltman. Mendozona has been the guy for them in the second half. He's provided the spark. When Evergreen had tied it up at 40, it was then that Tyler Mendozona went to work. Jameer Dodd back in for the Ducks, and here will come Desmond Martin also. Evergreen down by 16. It would take, not a miracle, but it would take some tremendous play on their part over the final 5.5 minutes to get this back. They're going to have to start stopping Northwest, which they have really not done tonight, and also score some points on their own. Here's Menifee. Back to Troyer. Inside it goes to Feliciano. Julio works, gets it. 72-58, 5:19 to play. Christie scores. Evergreen really has not stopped anybody tonight. They really have not done anything. Jeff Drinkline, the Evergreen coach, doing the palms up on that one. He just could not understand why no one could stop Christie. Christie is another guy. He's averaging 11 points a game, and he has actually just a little bit more than that. There's an and one for the Gooey Ducks as Feliciano scored and draws the foul. Fouls on Greg Peters. The problem for Evergreen right now is they're just not showing. It's possible they did erase a 12-point lead in 3 minutes. Now they're down 14 with almost 5 minutes remaining, but just not showing the body language like they're going to get into this thing and pull it out. Unless you're relying on a lot of stops have to be made, and so far the Gooey Ducks have not been making stops. Not at any point tonight have they made a lot of stops. That's Mendozona. Going another launch to the hoop, but he gives it right to Josh Troyer, and that's the kind of thing that Evergreen needs if they're going to have a chance here. Troyer all with the rim, misses. Rebounded by Waldman. And there's Mendozona, the former coach's son. Mendozona missing that time. Jameer Dodd comes down with it. He gives it to Menifee. Evergreen could use a three or two here. And there's a foul going to be called against Tyson Christie. Not really sure that was a foul. Looked like he might have just knocked it off Nate's leg, but certainly something the Gooey Ducks can use as they trail by 13 with just barely over 4 minutes to go. Peters comes out. Waltman comes out. Christie comes out. Back on come Richardson, Skillman, and George. Nate Menifee in the line. I believe this is a 1-and-1. Not just as an Evergreen fan, but just as a basketball fan. I'd love to see Evergreen go on a tear here because this has not been very exciting. Except for that 3-minute span when Evergreen was making a little bit of a comeback. It's not been really thrilling basketball tonight. Kind of a grinded out deal. 74-62. I'm sure if you're a Northwest fan, you've enjoyed it thoroughly, but it just still hasn't been one of those up and down, scintillating games. Nice passing, though, by Northwest. You got to admit that. And pounding the chest is Blake Solomon. Thought perhaps that was going to be a technical foul for taunting of some kind, but don't exactly know what it was. 76-62 is once again, Evergreen does not get the stop they need. They need a bunch of stops. They're not getting any. Here comes Menifee. Over to Julio Feliciano. Menifee, standstill three. Money. 29 points for Nate. And yet, Dewey Ducks trail by 11. 29 for Nate, 20 for Feliciano. Two-man show, though, as the Dewey Ducks have only 65 points. Those two have 49. Dewey Ducks need to stop every time now. And they're going to allow Skillman to barge down the lane and score. Absolutely no possibility for Evergreen to keep anybody out of the paint tonight. They just haven't done it. And that's going to send Northwest on in this tournament, it looks like. Nate Menifee down the lane. He's up to 31 points. Dewey Ducks will take a timeout. Absolutely incredible that Evergreen has just played zero defense. Northwest beautiful passing. Done a great job moving the ball. And Evergreen's Cascade Conference season looks very close to being over here. 2:59 to play. Northwest leads at 78-67. Around the conference, Warner Pack is leading Northwest Christian by 12, 60-48. 7:03 to go in that one. Ben Vaught, 17 for Northwest Christian. Cologne Riley with 15 for Warner Pack. Eastern Oregon finished off Concordia 93-80. Concordia apparently making a bit of a run at that one at the end, but couldn't quite get there. Cody Thurman, the key player for the Mountaineers, as he finished with 16 points and 7 assists. So they will be hosting a ball game. And meanwhile, down in Klamath Falls, still a battle. 60-57, Oregon Tech leads with 2:07 to go. And that would mean that all three of the seeds above Evergreen had held serve if they hold on there. Northwest Christian would go then, Northwest Christian, Northwest University, who we're seeing here tonight, would then go to Oregon Tech on Saturday night to play them, as they would be the lowest remaining seed in the tournament. Evergreen pulls it out, they would go there. If College of Idaho wins that game, that could shake it up a bit. But right about now, this is looking like it's Northwest Christian's game to lose. They are up by 11. With 2:48 to go, and Dewey Ducks have not stopped the ball movement of the Eagles worth beans, as they say. There's Christie with it. He goes down by Gallagher. Doesn't go by Gallagher. Actually, Gallagher playing good defense on him. There goes Solomon down lane. He's stripped of the ball. It just bounces into the hands of George, but fortunately, is a violation. The only problem with the shot clock violation, even though it's a turnover to the Dewey Ducks, it took a long time off the clock, 35 seconds. There's only 2:20 to go in this game. The Dewey Ducks trail by 11. This will be one of the great moments in Evergreen sports history if they win this ball game, because the excitement of the comeback would naturally be great. Gallagher misses. Saffold with a huge rebound, puts it up, and he misses. He tips it again. Gallagher tips it again. He misses. Gallagher has it again and misses. Feliciano saves it to Gallagher, but time is running off the clock. That's 20 seconds have gone off this clock, and the Dewey Ducks miss yet another layup. Boy, that layup would have cut this thing down, and now Gallagher throws a pass that Saffold ultimately can't hang on to, and I'd say that's probably the ball game right there. That was 40 seconds off the clock. The Glee Ducks missing 4 layups and throwing a silly pass. Stedman Richardson has it over to Skillman. Now to George at the top. They're going to take a lot of time off, and then they're just going to whip a pass to George, and he's going to get fouled by Feliciano. One of the fans right in front of me wants intentional. There's absolutely no way that was a flagrant intentional, but nonetheless, it is a flagrant non-stop, as the Glee Ducks have done very little to keep the Eagles out of the paint. You got to credit John Van Dyke and his coaching staff with coming up with a nice game plan tonight, as you would think that a tall, quick team like Evergreen with long arms could keep you from just picking the defense apart and getting into the lane at will, but that is what has happened. Northwest's offense has not only slowed it down from the pace that Evergreen usually likes, but once they've slashed to the bucket, they've finished. 78-67, 125 to go. George shooting another free throw here. And it is good. Van Dyke takes a timeout. He's done a good job tonight, as has his players. As Evergreen finds itself down 12 with a minute and a half to go, it's probably not going to happen, Evergreen fans. So Glee Ducks' task now will just be to wait and wonder what happens in some of these other games throughout the nation, as they're going to have to hope and pray that in the games involving number 1 seeds in other conference tournaments, teams that had an automatic burst by virtue of their regular season championship, that they don't hand those away in their conference tournaments to lower seeded teams, thus knocking Evergreen out of the tournament. What has to happen, and that what I'm referring to is, if a team that is not ranked in the top 25 is to win a conference tournament, then they move ahead of Evergreen, and the team that won that conference's regular season title and is already ranked ahead of Evergreen would get that at-large bid before it would come down to Evergreen. So we're just going to I'll look quickly and see if there's any of these games tonight. Bluefield, number 1 seed in action tonight. Evergreen defeated last year in the national tournament. They were in action against Montreat. They won that game, so that helps Evergreen. No score yet on, that doesn't involve a number 1 seed. We'll get back to that after the action. Here comes Menifee. He attacks, dumps it to Galley for a 3. Gallagher's 3 is off, taken down by George. Saffold strips him of the ball, but they're going to call a foul on Amos. So to the other end to shoot 2 shots, because it'll be double bonus, will go Greg George. Black Hills State was playing tonight against Mayville. I don't see a score on that. That's in the Dakota Athletic Conference. Black Hills the number 1 seed there. In the KCAC, Bethel and Sterling playing, no score available on that one. Number 1 seed Sterling. Mentioned Indiana Wesleyan won their game. And Grandview, Iowa, helping the Glee Ducks out as they defeated Iowa Wesleyan 80-59. They're a number 1 seed, so they stay alive. Those are not final, though. They've got to play a couple more games in their conference tournaments that they also could lose. Here's George. Too hard. And Cornerstone, the last one we were looking for, up in the Wolverine Hoosier Conference in the middle of the country. Cornerstone of Michigan defeated Michigan Dearborn. And they will stay alive in their conference tournament. So far, no number 1 seeds that I can find have been defeated. So Evergreen's all right in that sense, but certainly would have been much better to win a game or 2 in this conference tournament, even if they get to Branson. You'd like to think that you can do some damage back there, and right now they're not looking too good the last 2 ball games. Saffold intentionally fouling Skillman to send him to the line here, but it's not going to matter. 80-67 Northwest with less than a minute to go, as the Eagles have performed admirably. Made a couple comments about their showing out after buckets and so forth, but that was very, very minor. They didn't do it very often, and it certainly takes nothing away from the fact that they have thoroughly beaten Evergreen tonight. They had a chance to let their hard work they did in the first half go away when they gave up that quick burst when Evergreen caught them in less than 3 minutes. They erased a 12-point lead, and it was a tie at 40, and immediately went to work on this lead that now stands at 14, 81-67, and pretty much finished Evergreen off. There's Feliciano for 3, no good. Taken down and pitched ahead to Skillman. Now it goes to Skillman. That was Skillman from Solomon for the token dunk with the final seconds winding down. There's Menifee in the lane. He hits it. 83-69, 30 seconds to go. Goes to Richardson. Now to Christie. Richardson. Skillman to Solomon. He'll burn it. And there goes Solomon. Just as I had said, he starts pulling on his jersey. So I hope the powers that be in the Cascade Conference look at that and realize that it's not Evergreen and Warner Pack that are always doing the smack talking. There's no TV cameras here other than our small little web stream, and we're getting the pulling of the jersey. 83-69, though, as Northwest, as I said, all their smack talking and so forth does not obscure the fact that they thoroughly defeated Evergreen tonight. The Gludex did not come to play and lost their home game in the conference tournament and are eliminated from the Cascade Conference tournament, 83-72, by the Northwest Eagles, who played a great band of ball, passing the ball, working the ball, and doing a great job. Well, let's quickly look at some statistics here before we go off the air. It was that 38% shooting that sank the Gludex. Northwest shot 53%, and it was the layups that killed Evergreen, not the three-point shots. Final scoring totals: Nate Menifee had 36 to lead the ball game. He goes out in fine fashion there. He did do a good job individually in his final game and had 6 rebounds as well, 4 assists. Great game for him individually tonight. Julio Feliciano also playing his last game. He had 20. Those are the only 2 Gludex in double figures, though. They go for 56. The rest of the team only gets 16. And that did not counteract 5 players in double figures for Northwest that ran a balanced half-court offense, slowed the game down more than Evergreen wanted, and then basically just picked Evergreen apart in the half-court offense. We'll just quickly go through it. Solomon had 14. Skillman had 12. Tyler Mendozona, most of it in the second half, comes off with 16 points. Tyson Christie in the first half, kind of the Mendozona of the first half, he had 12. And the final double-figure scorer was the inside player, George, who led the game with 18 points and 12 rebounds, led his team with 18 points and the game with 12 rebounds. And that will be it. You will not have Evergreen basketball again this year unless the Evergreen Gludex status as a possible at-large team does hold up. And then that game will not take place until late in the first week of March. So there'll be a waiting period to see if Evergreen survives the winnowing process that will occur from the other conference tournaments throughout the nation. And then it will boil down to if they do get in, trying to recover from a couple of weeks of no basketball and a couple of blowout losses. And make no mistake, 83-72, this basically was a blowout loss as Evergreen tied it at 40 and then just went to sleep, and it was never a close game after that, as a Northwest team that beat Evergreen here 82-80 before again prevails away from home. 83-72, that's our final, as Northwest defeats Evergreen. Let's go real quickly before we need to get off here and see if College of Idaho was defeated by Oregon Tech. So if you're a Northwest fan, your team will be going to Klamath Falls on Saturday to meet the Owls of Oregon Tech, and it will be Warner Pack at Eastern in the other game. Once again, this is Dave Weber, Athletic Director at the Evergreen State College for about 48 more hours. My term here at Evergreen, 10 years long, ends on Friday night at 5 o'clock, and I appreciate all of you that are listening or watching that are Evergreen fans of your sport over the years. And it's hard to believe this will be my last Evergreen sporting event that I'll have anything to do with in an official capacity. It's been enjoyable. Tonight's game was not as enjoyable, but it's the way it goes. And we'll hopefully see you from Branson, Missouri. If not, it's been a nice run, and I'd like to thank the Gludex seniors for their careers here as well. That's it from the Greenhouse in Olympia.